player colonization of star systems in Elite Dangerous. Now, that's something I always hope to say when it comes to this game, but it's something I didn't expect to say anytime soon. Now, the specifics on this, on exactly how it's going to work, are a little bit vague at the moment. We'll get more details, I'm sure, in the coming weeks, but I do have plenty of information on this to share with you right now, so do stick around for that. And just to be absolutely clear on this, Frontier have stated that everything mentioned here is a work in progress, which means it's possible it is subject to change, or there may be some variations on this. This then is a part of the next big update for Elite Dangerous. It will mean that players will be able to expand the bubble, expand into new star systems, as well as direct the construction of brand new space stations and much more. Additionally, a brand new ship is coming. This is the Cobra Mark V, and I'll be able to discuss this as well throughout this video. So, system colonization. This is a new system then that Frontier are building has the ability to allow player-led freeform expansion in the galaxy. They say the bubble is no longer going to be static. How does it work? Well, there's a few different points here. Players are going to be able to colonize unpopulated systems, and these will be star systems that players themselves have found. So once players have found a suitable system, what constitutes a suitable system, I'm not sure. It may need certain requirements, or it could perhaps indeed be any type of system, but at any rate, once players have that system, and Frontier say they'll be explaining the mechanics of this later on next month, players will have the ability to establish a starport here. Look at this new starport as an anchor into the newly colonized system, the entry point, the point of origin from which everything else will be constructed. Now, after this starport has been constructed, after it's been fully built, players will have the choice to expand the system further. This means placing additional starports, facilities, settlements, and even stations, and this can be done as players see fit. So when asked Frontier for some further clarification on exactly how this works, they reiterated that more details will be coming next month, but they did use the term system architects, and by this they meant players. Players will indeed themselves be able to direct specifically where stations and all the other starports and services are going to be located in these new colonized systems. Obviously, this is a truly massive change for Elite Dangerous. It represents a completely different dynamic for the game that hasn't been in this game previously before in any form whatsoever. So, whilst I think it's important to mention that this, on the surface at least, doesn't appear to be full-on base building in the sense where you go out and gather resources and build the bases yourself, and I'm not saying it's not that, I'm just saying that I haven't got any details to say it is that. What we know for sure is that this will give players the ability to design and architect their very own star systems in the terms of the services and facilities that reside within that system. It's also worth mentioning that Frontier have said that doing this, all these things, will allow the players to dictate the economy of the star system they've colonized. So, what does that mean? Does it mean you can have one single star system? Well, no. It turns out you can actually have more than one star system. But Frontier have said that in order to do that, you need to have completed at least the primary starport in your current system. Once you've done that, you'll be able to further expand the existing star system, or then claim another one instead or in addition to. So they say, and this is an example they've put here in the details I've been sent, they said in theory you could daisy chain systems to reach a destination. You could even make your very own Colonia bridge. Now that's pretty interesting. Obviously, I'd imagine that's perhaps on the excessive side. Maybe that would take very long time, because Frontier haven't mentioned the distances needed between the different star systems, whether it's just a single digit light years, double digit light years or more. There is a distance restriction on how far out you can colonize from the main bubble. Again, this is a detail that they'll be clarifying a little bit later on. And this is largely because everything we're discussing here is a work in progress. It means that it's quite possible that some of this will shift and change as we get closer to the release of this particular system. But it's also very clear to me that Frontier are pretty confident in all the details that they've released so far that, well, this is very likely to be the way that things are going to shape up. So as I've been talking, you've seen a few images, static images, screenshots that I've shown you that are from this new colonization system. Let's show them again, and this time we'll talk through them. So right here, we've got the system colonization ship. And this ship is the ship that arrives as a part of the colonization process. Obviously, all the people and all the resources are going to need to be shipped in order for the colonization to take place. And that is the job of this ship right here. It is a new ship, something we haven't seen specifically in Elite before. So that's a nice touch, to say the least. And then we've got some other details here, which is the space depot that is a part of the system colonization process. Now, whilst those of you who are very familiar with Elite will no doubt recognise many of the assets used in these starport and ship models, they still represent nonetheless entirely new types of stations and ships, so that is something I'm really pleased to see. I think this is going to be a really good addition for the game. Now, for those of you who have been listening to the information about Elite Dangerous Ascendancy, that's the Power Play 2 update, you may be wondering, how is Power Play 2 going to interact with this whole colonization system? Are they completely separate systems, or are they somehow going to be working together? Well, it turns out that players could expand powers' territory by colonizing systems and then pushing those particular powers into that system they've colonized themselves. So that would work somewhat like this. A player locates a star system. They then initiate colonization of that star system by a process that hasn't yet been detailed. Once that system reaches a certain level of facilities within inside of it, the Power Play 2 system could then be used to expand factions and other powers into that particular or newly colonized star system. Also, Frontiers say that the system will have a value, and this will be based on how you might go about the system colonization process. What do Frontier mean about value? Do they mean its economic value? Do they mean its value in terms of power play? Well, this is something Frontier have said they're going to go into more details in the future. Ultimately then, Frontier are very keen to stress and emphasize that colonization, along with Power Play 2, is a part of their ambitions to change the focus of Elite Dangerous and make it so that players have a lot more control and a lot more direction over the narrative of the galaxy itself. I really do think that Power Play 2 did provide a few hints that Frontier are changing their tact and directions with Elite Dangerous in the terms of putting a lot more power into the hands of the players, and colonization really does underscore that and prove that yes, this is indeed the direction they're heading in. So really nice stuff, long time coming, and I'm glad to see that this is, that it actually is happening. Now moving on, we come to the brand new ship. This is going to be the Cobra Mark V. So that's a bit of a surprise right there, isn't it? Wasn't expecting to see another Cobra. Frontier said the reason they're going for this particular ship, I think, obviously the Cobra itself is a very iconic ship when it comes to Elite. Alongside the Sidewinder, I'd say that the Cobra is perhaps one of the most recognizable ships, if not the most recognizable ships when it comes to the Elite franchise. Now, Frontier haven't given the exact specifications for the ship just yet, but we do know that it is going to be a medium-sized ship. We also know that it's got a slightly different design. If we look at the images here, we can see that the overall profile of the ship is, while still recognizable as a Cobra, is quite distinct from the other versions and the other variants. Another thing we can see here is that Frontier are going for an entirely new cockpit. This is a 3-person cockpit, and it positions the pilot right in the front and center and gives 2 additional multi-crew positions so that you can take friends along with you. The size of the windows at the front, the canopy, also suggests that this version of the Cobra, the Mark V, is very likely going to have better visibility than the other previous variants. So another thing that's really nice to see. Unlike with the other ships that have been released recently, which were all very much specialised on different activities, the Cobra Mark V instead is going to be a very good all-rounder, and it should have the necessary stats, the overall specification to reflect that fact. Something, again, we'll be seeing in future weeks. So there we have it. That is the latest situation with Elite Dangerous, and I think arguably this is perhaps the biggest news we've had for Elite Dangerous since the days of Odyssey being announced. I don't really want to oversell this, but ultimately putting such control directly in the hands of players is very much a big deal. I'm very looking forward to seeing how all of this plays out, how the mechanics of this are going to be used. Obviously, that is something we don't have details on just yet, and that's entirely fair. I think it's fair to point out that at this point, this is the established pattern that many studios use to build excitement around their games. give a few details to initially and then flesh them out over the coming weeks and coming months. And yeah, I've got no problem with that. I think it works very well, just as long as we keep our expectations in check and don't start imagining things that aren't going to be possible. But for now, we do know that player colonization is going to be a thing, and we're going to be hearing more about this in the, over the next month or two, hopefully. Looking forward to seeing where this goes. Thanks for watching this video all the way through. Do take care, and I'll catch you next time.